Sometimes the way that people adorn themselves to try to get a lot of attention, sometimes the attention they get is the wrong attention. And so somebody might look at them weird and they think, oh, the church is judging me. No, you just look weird. You know? So that's not the same as being judgmental, but being judgmental, I mean, it's a really bad idea. Now, here's what I want you to get. Oftentimes what people do, people that focus more on the rules than the relationship often become very judgmental. Okay? Now, the reason people are judgmental, I just want to kind of clear this up. The reason people get judgmental normally is because we're trying to justify that we're okay. So as long as we can find somebody worse off than us, it's like, wow, I feel so much better, right? I mean, I look, it's like, I could be as bad as Earl, but thank God I'm not as bad as Earl. I mean, poor Don. But anyway, but the deal is this. So people get judgmental because there's some kind of insecure things going on. There are this kind of thing. So when we focus more on the rules in a relationship, we kind of look at other people in a different light. So in John chapter 8, there's a story where these religious guys that are very judgmental guys, they bring this woman to Jesus and they kind of throw her down the ground in front of him. And they say, hey, Jesus, this woman was caught in the very act of adultery. Now you guys pick up on the words here, right? I'm going to repeat it for you guys that are slow. This woman was caught in the very act of adultery. Yeah. And maybe I'm too, I don't know, but I'm thinking, okay, a couple of questions. Number one is, where's the guy? And number two, what are the rest of y'all doing spying? I mean, it's like, we got a few sins going on here, this kind of, but see, here's the deal. So these guys, they didn't care about the woman. They didn't even care about the affair. All they cared about was the rules. And people that focus on the rules instead of the relationship are very judgmental. Because see, actually the rules, the real rules, say that both the woman, because the rules say, these guys said this, the rules say that she's supposed to be stoned. Not in a good way. Stoned. Just a dirty, rotten shame, isn't it? Yeah. But the rules actually say that they're both supposed to be stoned. Right? And again, where's the guy? Isn't it funny how we're really selective over what rules we want to apply? I know that doesn't happen at your house, but I've heard of places. It's like, well, this is wrong, but well, mine's not as bad as theirs. See, that's being judgmental. That's actually what's wrong with being judgmental. Because people that focus on the rules over the relationship always get it wrong. See, we serve a God, the real God, that always values grace above judgment. But here's what God knows about us. If he leaves it just up to us, we almost always lean towards judgment rather than show grace. Okay? And so that's what makes this a big deal. So that's what makes being judgmental wrong. But see, so these guys, they bring this woman, they say, well, she was caught in the act of adultery, she's supposed to be stoned. And so what do you say? Now check this out. I want you to get this. Oftentimes we hear people talk about like radical Islam, that kind of stuff, where they have the death penalty for homosexuality, that kind of stuff. But here's what I want you to get. In the Old Testament, has a lot of the same punishments. A lot. And what we do, those are the rules. But God wants us to focus more on the person than the rules. Matter of fact, today that's why you're here. You're here because God focused more on you, the person, than he did the things you've done wrong. I mean, look at somebody, just look at them. Look at them in a smug kind of way. I mean, do it right. Come on. Like, you ready? Okay. Don, look at me. Like this. Go. But see, so what God does, God looks at us and realizes that none of us can actually measure up to the rules. So what God does, God shows us grace. And in showing us grace, he knows that we can actually get a little bit closer to who we're supposed to be if he gives us enough grace to do it, right? So it's kind of like practice makes closer. I was going to say perfect. That's not going to work for us, right? And so these guys are insisting that Jesus judges this lady. And so I love what Jesus does. Jesus simply kneels down and with his finger, he starts writing something in the dirt. Isn't it funny how Jesus writes stuff in the dirt of our lives? That's a freebie. So he's writing in the dirt, and the Bible doesn't say what he's writing, but maybe like he's writing the address of one of these guys' girlfriends. Maybe he's writing out a couple of the other commandments. And so these guys, but they're still persistent. It's like, hey, you got to do something. Okay, tell you what I'm going to do, guys. Here's the deal. If you guys want to stone her, the law says that's the rules. Okay, let's do this. But the guy that throws the first stone, make sure that he has never committed a sin. And one by one, the stones hit the ground, and everybody quietly walked away without a word. Now, here's what I want you to get. Jesus isn't judging them, and he's not letting her off the hook. Jesus is saying grace works best when you judge yourself. Now, this morning we gave you communion. Here's what I want you to get. And communion is just simply, so the last night that before Jesus was crucified, He gave them the juice and he gave them the bread. And he goes, this is a new covenant. This is a new era. So now we're starting a new agreement. So rather than living by the rules, which you guys can't pull off, I'm just curious, how many parents have a set of rules on the refrigerator? How many parents used to have a set of rules on the refrigerator? You know why you don't have them anymore? It doesn't work. You beat them every day. It's because rules don't work. So Jesus said, okay, here's the new agreement. Here's the new covenant. Here's the new idea. Rather than giving you a set of rules, here's what I'm going to show you. What I'm doing is I'm taking your punishment. And what I want you to do is I want you to remember that all the time. I want that to be right in the front of your head. I want you to think about that a lot. Here's what I want you to get. Communion is just simply this. The stones were for me. I'm the one that's supposed to be judged. I'm the one that's supposed to suffer the punishment. But Jesus said that nobody has a right to judge anybody else. But what God's plan is for you and I is for you and I to judge ourselves. Look in the mirror and look at that guy in the mirror first. Judge him instead of looking at everybody else. Because by looking at everybody else, we're ignoring our own flaws. Here's the truth. We're all flawed. We all have stuff. And God says, I know you got stuff, but here's the plan. How about if you look that guy in the eye that's staring back at you from the mirror? And how about you let him admit he needs work? And then you submit to that covenant, that agreement, and let me make you the better man or the better woman. See, the reason this communion deal is so important, because all of us get off. How many of us have even just kind of talked to yourself in a not crazy way, you know? Because I got to qualify these things with you guys. I know some people, they talk to themselves, and it's like a full conversation. We don't do that kind of counseling. We just can't pull it off. But, you would talk to yourself and you would tell yourself, you know what? I got to do better. I got to get a grip. I got to get back on track. You guys know what I'm talking about? Because what happens in our life when we get off track, we kind of drift just a little bit. So we all have what we call a rhythm of life. Everybody say rhythm. So we have this rhythm of life. And so God's plan is he's going to choose grace over judgment to kind of get us back on track. And instead of us being judged, God says, okay, so let's look in the mirror. Let's judge ourselves. Let's work on that guy. Let's work on that girl. We'll get this thing back together. So every walk of life comes with kind of rhythm. God created a world of rhythm. There's a world of rhythm. So the earth rotates 360 degrees every 24 hours. It goes around the sun every 365.2 days. We have 4 seasons. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. The seed time, there's harvest, there's hot and cold. See, God created a universe, a world of rhythm. He created you and I with rhythm. No, not that kind. So, I've watched you guys. You need work. But see, your breath is a perfect rhythm. Your pulse is a perfect rhythm. You rest, you eat, you work. God created you, my friend, with a rhythm of life because God's plan for you is for your life to have a rhythm. Okay? Kind of like this. Let's do something familiar. You guys recognize this song? Come on. You ready to sing it? Don't. See, work has a rhythm. Family has a rhythm. Love has a rhythm. Age has a rhythm. A little slower. And see, we all get stuck in these rhythms. It's just part of it. So work's like, okay, work, boom, boom. We get up in the morning, we go to work, we know what time we get off. So family has a rhythm. So we go home, we got the family thing, everybody do your homework. We're going to feed, shower, beat up the children, send them all to bed. So everything in life has a rhythm. Now we have these rhythm in life. So that's good, guys. We'll stop it right there. So now here's the deal. Now the reason we did that, some of you guys, how many of you guys actually know that song? How many of you guys did not know that song? Wow. Sonny and Cher, and the beat goes on. Don, you give blondes a bad name. So anyway, God uses rhythm in our life to make life work. Now this is kind of the point I really want you to get. Whenever any area of our life gets out of the normal rhythm, it puts pressure on the other areas of life. When your family experiences tragedy or hardship or conflict, it puts pressure on the rest of the family. When work puts pressure on your life and your work life is out of rhythm, or maybe you're out of work, or finances are tough, or things are difficult, it puts pressure on the other areas. And when it puts pressure on the other areas, those areas also get out of rhythm. Are you still with me now? Now here's what I want you to get. Whenever an area of our life gets out of rhythm, we have a tendency to embrace a new normal. And that's where we get to the place like I was talking about just a few minutes ago, where we tell ourselves, I got to get back on track, right? You guys said that? I got to get back on track. Man, I got to get my head together. It's like, dude, straighten up. So we'll do those kind of things because we know that we're out of rhythm, but it's hard to break that rhythm. Anybody ever get a song stuck in your head? Right? I mean, like one of the really lame songs, right? Like for years, and I've been avoiding this because I don't want it to get it stuck in my head, but there's a song, Royal. Anybody familiar with that song? It was like 2 months. I'm like, stop. I heard it in a store, and it's like, and I would find myself, I'd be driving down the road, and I'd be singing, it's like, no, stop. Because, see, here's the thing. Whatever rhythm gets in us, we stay in that rhythm until something in our life changes that rhythm. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 4, here's what the scripture says. It says to cast down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Here's what I want you to get. So in our head, things stick in our head, rhythms stick in our head that fight against who we know that we're supposed to be. Are you still with me? And that gets stuck in our head, and we try and we try and we try. So here's God's plan. What you need to do is you need to realize that's not God's plan for your life. That's not the rhythm that God has for your life. So in our life, maybe in your family is like turmoil, crazy, this kind of stuff. God said, look, that's not the right rhythm. But we get stuck in that rhythm. So what we do is we reject that because that's not God's plan. And then what we have to do is we have to really embrace our thoughts. So we become proactive in getting things back in rhythm. It doesn't happen automatic. And like, for instance, have you ever, even in church, we clap in church, right? Now, some of us are musically challenged. Like a lot. You ever sat next to somebody or looked over at somebody that was clapping like way off beat? Anybody? Like, if you watch me clap, bad idea. Bad idea. Because I just got to pick up wherever I feel like it, But have you noticed that if somebody gets your attention that's off, they mess you up? Has anybody ever seen that? I'm doing okay, and I look over at somebody's like, just messes me all up. And then what you try to do is you try to look at somebody that actually does have rhythm, and you can't catch up either. It's like, just makes you crazy. So that's what I'm saying. So in your spiritual life, in your walk with God, in your worship, in your family life, in your work life, we get stuck in rhythms. And even though we know it's not right, we're stuck. So how do you get off? The book of Ephesians says it this way: speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. Here's what he's saying. What you need to do is you need to speak some life back into yourself. You need to put something inside. And that's even what 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4 says, is that you have to cast that down, but you also have to put something inside. See, I laugh about this because it sounds funny. You can't just empty out your head. It just sounds funny, right? But you can't just simply get rid of the thought. I'm sorry, guys. What happens is that thought will come rushing back the moment when you're not paying attention. Why? Because that's been your rhythm. Listen, I know families that argue all the time. The reason they argue all the time because it's natural. It's a rhythm. It's what they do. They don't even like it. I hate arguing, but we do it all the time. Why? Because that's what you do. That's how you respond. That's how you react. That's how you even talk to each other. Everything just instantly restarts because you got stuck in that rhythm. How do you get out of that rhythm? Speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. You got to put something on the inside. Can I just be like right there with you guys? Some of you guys, the reason your rhythm isn't changing is you're not putting enough in. See, for me, I got to go to church a lot. I mean, even before I was pastor, I had to go to church a lot. Why? Because I had some old rhythms that would come back way easy. Anybody else know what I'm talking about? I know that probably some of us, when we get tired or whatever, there's an old rhythm that kind of looks a lot like a donkey that'll come rushing back. You guys know what I'm talking about? Anybody familiar with the donkey in you? I mean, somebody's probably even said, hey, aren't you being a bit of a donkey? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it was something like that, We'll talk later. Privately. Don, I'm sorry. But see, we get into those old rhythms. And that's because there's too much of a vacancy left. The way that you break the old rhythm, speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. So what you do, you put in as much spiritual stuff as you can. You put in as much healthy relationship stuff as you can. You put in as much good quality family time as you can. That's how you repair the brokenness in you. That's how you develop a brand new rhythm. Is this making any sense yet? Because if you don't proactively do that, it's not going to happen. The second half of that same verse says, Singing to the Lord and making melody in your heart. Now that melody, here's what's cool about a melody. A melody is a mixture of different sounds coming together to make something beautiful. Every person in this room brings something different to the table. All of us are a little bit different from each other. Some of us were a lot different from each other. Some of you guys are really different. But see, here's the thing. Everybody brings something new. Now, the worst thing that we can do is insist that everybody think and act like us. You know what being judgmental is? Being judgmental is insisting that everybody think and act like you. That's why it's so narrow-minded. Now, we're talking about this communion thing. Here's what I want you to do if you haven't done this already. I think the better part of communion is you have to make the decision when to remember. So you can do it now, you can do it later, but you have to be able to look at yourself, say, you know what? Instead of focusing on everybody else, what everybody else is doing wrong, I'm going to focus on the person in the mirror. I'm going to let God work on this guy right here. And I think if God works on this guy right here and gets this guy right here the way he's supposed to be, I don't think the rest of y'all is going to look so bad. You guys get that? Okay, and so that's the problem with being judgmental. So everybody has their own part. Everybody just kind of plays a role. So I know I'm the best me that anybody here can be. I'm way better at being me than I am at being Earl. It's kind of easy. And so that's where it gets down to. Now let me kind of finish this up just a little bit, okay? God has this new unique rhythm. Loretta's right. It's something on the stage. That's what it is. And when we get off, and it's not like you did it on purpose. Stuff happens. You guys know that we just drift, right? Just kind of gets off. And we're not here to judge you, not at all. And I hope you really get that here. And I hope nobody here feels judged. Now, you also have to admit, if you insist on looking really different, people are going to look at you really different. That's not being judgmental. That's just you just trying to be weird. So, good job. But so we're not judging you. And the goal is for us to be able to look at the mirror and kind of judge ourselves. Jesus didn't judge those guys. He just said, look at yourself first. Jesus didn't judge the girl. He said, look at you first. That's God's plan. So now, whenever we get off rhythm, you can't just simply okay, I'll pick it back up. Like I've tried this. I've looked over. There's certain people. I was going to call their name out, but I won't right now. But whenever they clap, they're never on. Never. I almost want to say, stop. Just stop. You're killing me. So I looked at them and I was like, oh, so then I'll look at somebody that's got really good rhythm. Some of you guys got really good rhythm. Pam's got great rhythm. Richard, not so much. So if I'm looking at Richard, I'll get off. But then I'll get back on and say, okay, I'm going to look at Pam. By watching Pam, I'm going to get right back on. You can't do it. You can't just simply pick back up where you left off. It's physically impossible. How do you get back on rhythm? You have to stop. You can't just keep pounding away and expect to get it right. And that's what we do in relationships all the time. We think, okay, we're going to get this right. We're going to get this right. No, you're going to make everybody crazy. Stop. Stop arguing. Stop being defensive. Stop being a donkey. Stop talking. Where we need to talk, it's not working. Stop. Everybody say, stop. That's how you get back on rhythm. It's what God calls Sabbath. And here's how Sabbath works. It's not the day of the week. It's something where you stop and your spirit gets rest. Like, you know what? I'm going to pull my head out of wherever my head is in. And I'm going to stop responding. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to stop griping. I'm going to stop complaining. I'm going to stop criticizing everybody else. I'm going to stop judging everybody. And I'm going to look in the mirror and say, God, it's me. It's me that needs to work. It's me that needs to change. I'm the guy you need to work on. That's Sabbath. And when we keep blowing by the Sabbath and keep on just pounding away, it exhausts the world around us, and people, we can't survive it. That's why God says, hey, you need to come away. You need to stop. Get your heart right. And then when you pick back up the rhythm, man, you'll be on it. It'll be perfect. I'm going to close with describing a picture for you. It's a guy who's grown up with rhythm his whole life. It's all he's ever known is rhythm. His entire life from daylight to dark is a certain beat. He's not a musician and he's not a soldier. Not a musician or singer, he's a soldier. He's a Roman soldier. He works for the Roman government. It's a drum beat that gets him out of bed in the morning. It's a drum beat that sends him to eat his meal. It's a drum beat that causes him to assemble with the rest of his comrades. It's a drum beat that sends him off into war. It's a drum beat that tells him to go back home. It's a drum beat that tells him when to go to bed. Everything in his life is a rhythm. My friends, you and I, everything in our life is a rhythm. Right or wrong, everything is a rhythm. It's a lifestyle that we're stuck in. We just do it. You still with me? And something in this soldier's life got him distracted. Anybody ever been distracted? Just get off or just stop doing something that you should be doing or start doing something you shouldn't be doing. And the great thing about the communion idea, judging yourself, is before anybody else can see it, you already know it. Isn't that true? And that's why we're not here to judge you. We're asking you to take a look at yourself. So this soldier, he gets out of step. He gets distracted. Something goes wrong, and he gets trampled and beat down, and his sword is dull, and he's lost his edge, and he's beat up and alone. And he wonders, man, how do I get back? How do I get my life back on track? I don't even know how I got here. I don't even know what happened. I don't even know what's going on. All I know is I've been beat up. I've been forgotten. I've made mistakes, and I know I'm not okay. How do I get life back on track? They brought this woman. They set her in front of Jesus, and they said, "Judge her." Jesus, "I'm not judging her, and I'm not judging you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw her close to me." One of the coolest stories in the Scripture was it's the Lord's Supper, and in the book of John it describes it this way. It says the disciple that Jesus loved, his name is John. It said that he leaned on the chest of Jesus. Any idea what he heard? If you get close to his heartbeat, yours will start to beat again. If you get close to his heartbeat, The stuff you thought was dead, the stuff you thought was over, the stuff you thought that had passed you by, the beat down, all that kind of stuff. If you get close to his heartbeat, your heart will start to beat again. And you'll start kind of getting your mojo back. You'll kind of get your momentum back. You'll get back on track. Why? Because you said, I'm going to stop being this whoever, and I'm gonna get close to God's heartbeat, and I'm gonna redevelop my own heartbeat. I'm gonna get my life back on track. I'm gonna get my life back in rhythm. I'm gonna start doing this right, not because it's something I did, but because of who he is. Why? Because he said, you know what, the stones were for me. The stones were for me, and what God did for you and me, he said, you know what, forget the stones. How about I just draw you close to me? How about I just give you another shot? How about if I get your life back on track? God will bless you where he can find you. So here's where we're at today. It's so easy to get off rhythm. It's so easy. And it's also so easy to try to act like we still got it together when we know. We look in the mirror, we see it. Today's the day. Now, if you're thinking I'm asking for perfection, I might be the only one in the room that knows who I'm working with. Obviously. See, you know what I know about God? I know for a fact that he doesn't expect perfection because he uses me. I'm thinking, if he can use me, shoot, you guys got this made. How easy is this? I'm living proof you don't have to be smart to be a pastor. You know, huh? You know. But wouldn't it be a great day to get your life back on track? Wouldn't it be a great day to kind of get back in the groove? And the cool thing about rhythm, it's not that it's easy, but it's easier. So if you would, please, this morning, just bow your heads and close your eyes. We're gonna have a little bit of reflection time. Just kind of look at yourself. So I wonder today, can anybody identify with that soldier? You kind of got out of step. You're beat down. It's just been hard. And you want to get back on track. If that's you, just raise your hand. Say, that's me, Pastor Dave. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Dozens of people all over the room. And I think today that there's people here that maybe your heart's cries, you know what, I'm just tired of fighting. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of trying, and I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. I just want to stop. I just want to just start over. I feel like I'm fighting every minute of the day. I'm struggling for all I'm worth. And I just don't want to fight anymore. If that's you, just raise your hand up real quick, put it right back down. It says me. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Today, we're going to let God. Could y'all stand, please? Now, what I don't want you to do, I don't want you to look in the mirror and put yourself down. That's the devil's job, not yours. The enemy of your soul wants to condemn you at every turn. The enemy of your soul points out every mistake that you've ever made. You want a response for that? I may have made a mistake, but you tell the devil, but you're the one going to hell. Nanner, nanner. God has this work that he's doing in you. Don't condemn yourself, but see what God sees. Jesus told that girl that was caught in the act of adultery, he said, nobody's accusing you of anything. But what we're going to do is we're going to stand you back on your feet, and we're going to let you start over. God's looking for those wounded soldiers, those people that have been burned in relationships, those people that are that are tired of struggling to kind of keep the family unit back together. Matter of fact, I feel that I need to say this. This is really important. Some of you guys are fighting so hard for somebody that you love, and you already know that you're the only one fighting. Am I on it? And something inside of you has said, you know what? I'm tired of being the only. If you don't care about you, I don't care about you. You can't even let yourself do that. So here's the deal. You ready? I know that this is speaking to somebody. You want to just throw your hands up, but deep inside, you know that'll crush your heart. You can't do that. You can't just let them just kind of whatever. But what you do is you say, okay, Jesus, here they are. Literally, give them to the Lord. Give them to the Lord. I'm horrible at controlling people. You know how I know I'm horrible at controlling people? I can't even handle this guy. Isn't that funny? We think we can control other people, but we can't even control the person in the mirror. That's like an intelligence test, huh? But I know that there's people that you deeply love, that you're trying to help navigate their life. Stop. Okay? Just stop. And you hand that to God. The Holy Spirit is the convictor. I'm the judger. Which one works better? I'm just thinking. So this morning, some of you guys are just wrestling with a whole lot of ideas, a whole lot of thoughts, things about yourself, about your relationship, all these kind of things. Let's stop. Let's stop. We're going to surrender that to Christ. And when we restart, we're going to be right on rhythm. Ready for some encouragement? You're going to screw it up. Ain't that awesome? So what do I do if I screw it up? Stop. And start again. And what you'll discover, you're a little bit better than last time. A little closer and closer to his heartbeat. Does this make sense, guys? You got it? So our prayer partners are up here. Some of you guys are wrestling with stuff. Matter of fact, especially some of you guys that are just really wrestling with somebody that you deeply love, and you are so frustrated you could just choke them out and love them at the same time. Total schizophrenia. I really want you to do this. I really want you to come to one of our prayer partners and say, hey, there's somebody that I want to hand their life over to Christ. Let God deal with them. I want you to come and join one of our prayer partners to do that, okay? You ready? You ready?